I wonder what in the heck's going on there with France. Could it have something to do with the French citizens taking their country back? Afghanistan, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be spun as a hugely successful airlift.
Oh, yeah, we believe in freedom. Give us a little bit of that.
Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli could have given you that little piece of frickin' intel standing in the chow line down at Salerno. This is your 25 August update on the Afghanistan situation, coming at you from Iraq. I got my notifications, my notes, to make sure I don't miss a damn thing. Now, where are we at? Well, France is stopping the evacuations out of Kabul on the 27th of August. That's Friday. Why are they doing that? Prime Minister said they won't be able to conduct further flights. Not a lot of explanation. I wonder what in the heck's going on there with France. Could it have something to do with the French citizens taking their country back? I don't know. We know this. We know that it was just reported very recently, within the past couple of hours, that we've had at least one explosion, IED type of an explosion, outside of the airport. It is reported there's about 13 people dead. That there are Americans amongst the casualties. Specifically, it was said to be Marines amongst the casualties, not necessarily the dead. In addition, there was Taliban guards amongst the casualties. So what in the heck's going on there? I don't know. This is very early reporting. We know this. We know Taliban's blocking access into the airport for Afghans. They're tearing up their passports. We're not sure what's going on with Americans. We know there's still thousands of Americans unable to get out, unable to get to the airport. So what's the plan? Well, instead of coming up with a plan and implementing something, it appears that the president and Democratic leadership has been pressuring other Democrats to vote for a $5 trillion spending bill. So far, we've gotten about 4,000 Americans out of the country, thank God. But that leaves, at a minimum, at least 5,000 remaining. We've created a mass hostage situation. Completely avoidable. So what is the plan? I'll tell you what the plan is. The plan is to gloss over the issues, to completely gloss over the whole debacle by changing the narrative to COVID and domestic terrorism, read white people, and hope that you and me, people like us, you know, the average Joe, the American people, hope that we forget. Afghanistan, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be spun as a hugely successful airlift. Kind of like the Berlin airlift. It's going to be such a successful, such a happy time that you're going to get a little warm feeling right here in your tummy, sort of at the top of your tummy. You're going to get a little real warm feeling when you talk about it. Kind of like you do if you're a fundamentalist wokester and you have an opportunity to get on your knees in front of somebody. That same feeling. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. You can already see it happen. And they're going to continue to push that as this hugely successful non-combatant evacuation operations. Despite the elementary school playground fantasyland plan that put us in this position to begin with. Intelligence reports were very clear. Reporting is starting to come out that a Taliban takeover was a very good possibility. It was one of the possible outcomes. And if it was briefed, it was probably one of the more likely outcomes. Regardless, as I said before, anybody who spent any time in that country could have told you that over the past 20 years. Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli could have given you that little piece of frickin' intel standing in the chow line down at Salerno. Now, this will make you feel better. This will probably make you feel a little bit warm in your heart too. Well, apparently, I have it on good authority that the Biden administration, while they're adamant on the 31st of August withdrawal deadline, meaning it was dictated to them by the enemy. Why? Because we gave up every freaking tactical and strategic advantage we had in the region. But apparently the president's now asking for contingency plans. Don't you feel better? I feel better. A contingency plan? Thank God somebody thought of that. What a freaking genius. Could have used a few of those about a month ago, 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Never heard of a contingency plan before. Let me get some of them.
Now, President Biden told the leaders from the G7 on Monday that his country, our country, America, was on pace to complete its withdrawal from Afghanistan by the 31st of August, after the Taliban had warned Washington against any attempts to extend the deadline. Bottom line is, Biden, for political reasons, decided that he wanted to make the 31st of August the deadline. And that became the Taliban's deadline. And now the Taliban's not budging off of the 31st because they have the advantage, because we handed them the advantage. Why? Because we're stupid. That's why. Because we're run by fundamentalist, wokist imbeciles. That's why. Just telling you how it is, folks. Just telling you how it is. Now, Biden's decision to double down on the 31st of August deadline came after reports emerged that CIA Chief Bill Burns met with Taliban leadership in Afghanistan on Monday. Now, during this meeting, the Taliban made it clear that they would not accept any U.S. military presence after the original deadline. Okay, well, who knows what in the heck's going on there? But riddle me this, Batman. Why is the CIA chief in Afghanistan negotiating with the Taliban? I mean, why is it the CIA chief, right? Why is it not our military commander on the deck? Or why is it not, I don't know, some secretary, well, maybe not the Secretary of State, but some sort of a diplomat? Why is that the case? Could it be that we know these guys? I don't know. I just throw it out there for your consideration. Now, supposedly, President Biden is keeping his options open to adjust the timeline there at the end. And this is according to Jen Psaki. U.S. President asked the Pentagon State Department to drop contingency plans should they become necessary. I'll tell you what, you can't make it up. You cannot make it up. I will tell you this, if I had a young lieutenant bringing these kind of plans to me as a freaking pilot in the ready room, I'd have spanked his ass and sent him home. Spank that ass. It's laughable if there wasn't freaking American lives at stake. But there are thousands of them. thousands of them. So let's go on. Let's find out a few more things. Biden also made clear that with each day of operations on the ground, we have added risk to our troops with increasing threats from ISIS-K. I think that's like Special K. It's a new brand. ISIS-K. Where is it? Where is it? And that completion of the mission by August 31st depends on continued coordination with the Taliban, including continued access for evacuees to the airport. So we're depending on the enemy to give safe passage to our people into the airport. And then all of a sudden, despite in a speech not days ago saying that what interest do we have in Afghanistan when Al-Qaeda and ISIS and everybody is gone, all of a sudden we've got ISIS Special K coming up. Now, who is ISIS Special K? Well, let's see. I'm going to tell you. It's a common rival that is lesser known. Islamic State Khorasan, 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 or ISIS-K, the terrorist group's affiliate in Afghanistan. Created 6 years ago by disaffected Pakistani Taliban. So these are actually, it's like a faction of the Taliban that are out of Pakistan. ISIS-K has carried out dozens of attacks in Afghanistan this year. So they're nothing new. They're nothing new. They're just special ISIS. Special frickin' K. But the bottom line is that the Taliban is dictating to us, the United States of America, what we're going to do. Nice. Good to go. Let's see if I got anything else here. I do. Oh, so here's a little tidbit that I wrote in the margin here because I just heard it as I was walking out of the office today. VP Harris, in a Singapore address, refused to answer any questions regarding the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now, I watched her address. She was obviously reading and had no freaking idea what she was talking about. And then right afterwards, the Singapore prime minister, president, leader, I forget what they call him, the head of Singapore basically said, yeah, they really messed up. Oh, gosh. Yeah, so I wonder if it's these Special K folks that pulled off this suicide bombing, truck bombing thing outside Hamid Karzai Airport. And, it's not a laughing matter at all. But geez, guys, it's frickin', our world is just insane. We're now taking orders from the Taliban. It makes no sense. So now here's a classic one for you, and this will show you the complete fantasy world that these fundamentalist wokesters live in. Taliban stated that Afghanistan cannot afford the brain drain and that evacuation of Afghans will stop on the 31st of August, regardless. They're like, okay, we might allow you to get your American people out, but no Afghans are going to get past the frickin' wire. Here's a quote from his freaking turban-headedness himself. Change your policy, and please don't encourage our friends to leave. Don't encourage our engineers, our doctors, our military. We need them. We are not in favor of allowing Afghans to leave. Okay, Pol Pot. We know what's going to happen to these people. Pick up a history book. We know exactly what's going to happen to these people. So Afghans are being cut off from evacuation as of the 31st of August, regardless of what other agreements might be drawn up. Why? because they want to take them out. That's why. These are the very people, the doctors. Who do you call out? Who do you call out here? The engineers, the doctors, and the military. Yeah, that's exactly who was working with the United States and the coalition. It's the same thing that Pol Pot did. Same thing that Pol Pot did. And he killed every damn one of them. Sickening. And if you don't know who Pol Pot is, go read a book or watch a movie called The Killing Fields. It was a movie. The movie was actually excellent. And it was made in, I believe, it maybe mid-'80s, somewhere around in there. But boy, I'll tell you what, it will open your eyes. But then read up on the story. I believe about 30% of the Cambodian population was killed. Or a more recent one, First They Killed My Father, by Angelina Jolie, I think was the director of that. No kidding. First They Killed My Father, or First They Came for My Father. I think it's First They Killed My Father. Yeah, check that one out. Okay, so all this is going on. All this jackassery in Afghanistan. So while Rome burns over here and we've got a shiny object over here that the American people are concentrating on in Afghanistan, and we know the administration is going to try to spin that as a huge success and that we got however many people out. Okay, got it, despite however many people might be left. We'll see how that goes. Despite the ridiculous plan to extricate ourselves from Afghanistan. Despite all of that, that's the shiny object. What else is going on? What is happening that we're not paying attention to? Well, here's one. The southern border is still wide open. I mean, we've known about that. That was actually the big issue for a while. Southern border's wide open. We've known that we have apprehended folks that were on the terrorist watch list coming through there. So how many others got through? We know folks are talking about if they want to get into the United States, just figure out a way to get to Mexico and then come through the southern border. It's not a big secret. You know, the drug cartels and the terrorists, they're going to have a business relationship. We know that from our experience in Colombia during the FARC years. We know that's a natural, those two things naturally come together. But let me ask you this. Do you trust this administration? They're counting on the American people to forget. They believe we are stupid, and they're going to tell you that they're smarter, that they know better. Well, they don't. They absolutely don't. They think they're going to be able to change the narrative from immense failures to the COVID crisis, to white people as domestic terrorists, and other crises yet to be announced. And there's plenty that could be coming up. The NEO is going to be spun as an amazing success, as I've already alluded to. Not to mention real looming crises, such as our monetary policy, which is a real freaking gem, and likely economic woes stemming from that. I'm talking about inflation. I'm talking about housing prices based off of our monetary system and how it's forcing a lot of corporate entities. It's forcing a lot of things to happen in our housing market. Bottom line, it's keeping the interest rates low, keeping the prices high. Energy, underemployment or unemployment, despite having a shortage of labor. Could this entire geopolitical disaster be the very beginning of displacing the dollar as the world's reserve currency? I brought this question up to several smart people who seem to puzzle over it. I believe it very well could. This past week, if I am not mistaken, Saudi Arabia began to make a deal with China and Russia to do oil transactions in something other than the dollar. Now, some people don't know this, but all oil transactions have been done since 1971, early 70s, about the time we went off the gold standard. So during the Nixon administration, all oil transactions have been done in the dollar. That is part of what helped make the dollar the world's reserve currency. Now Saudi Arabia is talking to China, and they're talking to Russia about doing oil transactions in something other than dollars. Remember in one of my first videos where I said this event here in Afghanistan, America is going to pay for the next century in geopolitical decline? This is just the beginning, if I am in fact correct. But boy, I'm telling you, I think I am. Now, I think we can expect to see, based on what I'm seeing in the news, I think we can expect to see the continued balkanization of America based on racial and economic status back in the States. The fundamentalist wokesters have been working on that for decades. This administration is more worried about optics than doing what is required to extract U.S. citizens, so God only knows what's going to happen to our fellow Americans who are on the ground in harm's way. We shall see. A little bit of news from Iraq. ISIS is already mobilizing again in Iraq. Wonder why. The Baghdad summit, regional summit, is now, they finally announced a real date. It's going to be the 28th of August, and they announced the formal date. So I'm expecting things to get sporty around here over the next couple days. Back to Afghanistan. The war in Afghanistan started back in 2001, and we called it Operation Enduring Freedom. Do Americans still believe in freedom? Do they?
Oh, yeah, we believe in freedom. Give us a little bit of that.
Well, look how easy we forfeited so many freedoms under COVID restrictions. Not even a whimper. Not even a frickin' whimper. We allowed our freedom of religion to be almost completely destroyed. We allowed our freedom of speech to be almost completely destroyed. Not necessarily because of COVID, but sort of kind of because of COVID, right? It was in the wake of the election, and some people were like, I think there might be something wrong here. Shut up. Bam. Right? And then we allowed that to carry over into COVID. Even more. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, two big ones. Look how we've allowed speech to be chilled over the last 20 years or more. We've allowed the fundamentalist wokesters to hijack words such as equality, justice, truth. Even the word racism doesn't mean anything like it used to. It's completely different now. Look at how we've permitted the surveillance state to expand over the last 20 years. Since we allowed the freaking Patriot Act to go into effect with almost full knowledge that it would be used against us, and yet we let it go anyway. Look how we permitted postmodernist ideas such as critical theory, critical race theory, The idea that people are no longer bound by their biology, and other denials of the existence of objective reality. We've allowed everything to become relegated to some sort of lived experience. Whatever the heck that really means, which it means nothing. And that's the point. Once objective truth is no longer recognized, all truth and perception of reality becomes fluid. Everything becomes relative. And, as intended by the philosophy, everything and nothing are true simultaneously. Except, truth is the basis of our laws and the basis of civil society. And we are allowing it to be taken from us. Which brings me to my closing. To my fellow veterans. We may not be able to go home. We may not be able to relax. We're going to have to continue to be warriors in a different way, but we're going to have to continue to be warriors. To the rest of America, to the rest of her citizens, to my fellow Americans, America needs you to become heroes. She needs you to become warriors. Every one of us has got to step up and accept our piece of the responsibility for this shit show that we've allowed to happen both here in America, which has manifested itself abroad in this disaster. Educate yourself in the truth. Make sure you understand what you believe and why you believe it. Be able to articulate those beliefs. Go out, have a conversation with your neighbor. Have a conversation with somebody out in public. Go to a PTA meeting. Go to a county council meeting. Go run for county council or local government of some sort if you are so inclined. But every one of us has got a special talent, a special ability, a special connection. And America needs each of us to stand up, to say, not on my watch, band together and take our country back. America is a one-off in the history of the world. She never came around before. She'll never come around again. Let's not lose her because we failed to act. Wherever you are, have a great day, have a great afternoon, have a great evening. I will see all of you later. Bye. Hey everybody, John and Stacy from Semper Savage.
Hey y'all.
We are a veteran-owned company.
We're family operated.
And we are making some of the finest salad dressing and marinade on the planet.
It's all natural.
We're using the finest ingredients.
Like extra virgin olive oil with no added water or sugar.
No food, science, chemistry, craziness. It's homemade salad dressing and marinade in a bottle.
And you're gonna love it.